Hello everybody, it's Burhaan again. Welcome to another episode of Factorio. As I said in the last episode, these episodes were actually recorded on a train. I was literally sitting on a train, and I think at this point I was almost like 2 or 3 hours into the journey, which was quite interesting. It was a fun trip. Extremely long, but yeah, that I guess that goes without saying. Cool, so research got done, grenade damage 2, and basically I've decided that I needed to extend this line. I needed more smelting, more electric furnaces. So I'm going to go ahead and put those down. I think I do end up counting how many we have. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, there's 17 there now, 18, 19, 20, 21, I think I put 22 in a row. Basically the goal is just to test and see exactly sort of what's going on. Counting like this while I'm sitting on this train is actually 20 something, I don't know. How many do we have there? Anyway, it's a lot. It is a lot. So I decided to extend the belts. Obviously, I got to put in the requester section, which I did take a blueprint of. I decided to put it fairly close to the actual machines. And the robots are going to start filling them up as well. Obviously they don't have any power, and it's outside of the robot network, so I did decide to just fill that, put some power down, connect it all up, and of course now it's in the robot network, so the robots are going to start delivering that the iron ore. That's what it's called. Good. And of course we've got to get sort of power connected up to that roboport. It's a little bit fiddly. Like I think the way that I've built this is okay. It's not the best setup, but you know, it's a trial and error thing. It's the first time I've done this many sort of furnaces in a row. I'm pretty nervous about the fact that there's so many in one row. I mean, I've seen players online, you know, in other videos, put down 32 electric furnaces in a column, in a similar fashion. But of course, I'm going to be using beacons to speed things up, and people have done that too. But yeah, for me it's a bit of an experiment. I've never really done it this way, and this is why I'm actually building it like this. Of course, with the mod that I'm using, which is the what's it called? It's called Bottleneck. It's pretty easy to see which machines are not working. I really enjoy that, and it makes it really easy to see what's connected and what's not connected, and which machines are lacking resources. So that's pretty cool. I then decide to connect up the power on the other side. You know, of course we could be a little bit more space efficient, and now I'm thinking about, okay, if I put the actual substation a little further up, we can fit in another row of beacons along the top. And so I decide to move these substations up a couple of blocks, a couple of tiles I think they're called, and just be a little bit more space efficient. Of course, this pole that I put down a moment ago was in the way. Just trying to use up as much or just use the space up in a much more efficient manner. I then connect the roboport up again, just using 2 medium electric poles, and basically these furnaces are now working. Please do drop a like if you're enjoying the video. Yeah, so these machines are working. It looks like the belt is pretty saturated. The last couple of machines are not 100% sort of saturated, or they're not putting down everything that they have. Of course, the belt is backed up a little bit. The robots are working hard to bring in the iron ore. Of course, my factory is cyclical. Right now, there's no research going on. You can see that orange sort of flashing thing in the corner, and I'm actually not paying any attention to it at all. I'm so immune to that little bar now. I basically only notice it one time per episode. Hopefully I'll do some research soon. Of course, I'm narrating this video, which is interesting. It's a different style of recording, basically watching myself play, and trying to figure out why did I do what I did, like, which is also good because, you know, for you guys who's watching, it also gives me sort of a feeling of, because I usually don't watch my videos after I've put them up, or if I do watch them, I just watch them sort of quickly to make sure that the recording was exported properly, you know, that it rendered correctly. But this is good. This is, you know, it's showing me, basically it's giving me pointers as to whether the video is entertaining or not. So here we go. I start counting, and I think I counted 24 furnaces, I believe, and then I recounted for whatever reason. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Yeah, I think it looks around 24. And so I decided to find the midpoint and just squiggle this iron up, because I feel that it's backing up quite a bit. And of course, that's not the electric furnace's fault. It's just because of the fact that the iron is backed up all the way. And so I decided to add in another line to basically bring up 2 lines from this furnace smelting setup. I may actually change this while watching this now, while I'm sort of finishing this recording or doing the audio for this recording. I may actually experiment with the 32 furnace column, but we'll figure that out in a future episode. So anyways, now I'm trying to decide how to actually connect all this up. Which is pretty cool. I'm also just faffing about with my iPhone because I've just updated to version 10. iOS 10. Good. So now I'm going through and actually, sorry. I'm actually checking on the furnaces here, trying to figure out how I'm gonna get the rest of this iron ore actually patched in to the rest of the network. And so I decided to just use some underground belts and just tie in over here, which should be fine. As you can see, I've got grenade damage 5 going on. With 5 or 3? 3. I can't really see. And as you can see, the belts are pretty much meh. It's one-sided, right? It's because of the second belt that I've got going up is not balanced, and so I decide to do a splitter thing here, and then I decide to like put in some sort of a balancing thing, and it's just a mess. It's just I'm trying to figure out how to get this thing done in a way that actually balances the belts, and of course this doesn't work. I'm like, what is that? I mean, it looks pretty, but doesn't really do anything. It's not a practical thing. No, that doesn't work. and then I decide to balance before it actually gets to that splitter that's connecting them up, and it looks like I need a little bit more space, and I'm spending way too much time trying to figure this out, but that's okay. We learn as we go. I'm not actually sure why I'm doing it this way. There we go. And I just need to turn that belt, and now we have basically a full belt coming up. And I connect that up. That row is balanced, so that's okay. This is just entirely too faffy. I definitely need, in reviewing this video, I think I need to go change that. It looks a little strange. And of course, now we have two belts coming into one belt, which is already full, and that's going to back up the entire line all the way to the smelters. So adding the smelters is not really adding any more production, but you do see that the iron on the other belt that's coming in on the left starts to back up too. So that additional smelting facility is definitely helping out. Of course, there's not really much going on in the factory. Red circuits are all backed up. We're basically only making efficiency modules, and by the looks of it, ammunition is all backed up. There's really not much going on, except for the odd research, and the research is pretty. It's not really as important as it was before. But nonetheless, I decided to go ahead and do some more grenade damage. I don't generally use grenades in the game. I think grenades are useful, but since the flamethrowers come out, I've just basically, focused on using laser. What is it? Flamethrowers and turrets, gun turrets, to basically clear out the enemy bases. I decided to put in another roboport. Actually, another 2, I think it is. Purely because it looks like these robots are taking a ton of time just charging up, and so I decided to put in a few more in the network just to help them out and get them, because they do have to travel quite a way to get the iron ore over here from the train station. And again, having said that, I may actually decide in a future episode to change it. I then come over to the train sort of section, try to figure out what's going on. Of course, there's not enough iron ore coming into this side of the network, but it's not too much of an issue because the iron ore is backed up pretty much the entire way. You can see all the lines are full. We've got enough sort of, I call them purple circuits or blue circuits. We've got enough blue circuits there. The trains seem to be behaving themselves, although I noticed that this coal train does actually stand here, and it's quite a bit away from the depot. And there's this queue, right? There's just this line of trains that are standing and waiting to offload, and of course these iron this iron depot is just not efficient enough. I mean, I've got stack inserters offloading from the train. The front carriage is basically emptied pretty quickly, and that's mainly due to the robots picking up from the chests. And so I decide to basically just remove the belts. But in hindsight, I don't think that's such a good idea, because you can see that the iron ore is just not going to the factory fast enough. And so I think it's just a case of having and you see that second iron ore train was actually empty. It was just waiting to get out. So that's definitely something that I need to fix. Yeah, so it basically looks like as soon as those iron ore trains are sorry. As soon as those iron ore trains are actually out of the station, the rest of the trains basically offload their stuff, and they go ahead and move on. So what I'm doing now is I'm adding a stop for a drop off of basically iron ore and copper. And what I want done here is I want it to be almost like a second depot. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to send iron here and copper here, iron ore and copper ore, and then have sort of, coal and oil dropped off at the other sort of section. And obviously this, with long reach, it makes it very nice and easy to basically just connect up and have these things, have this station built. I then decide to actually connect up this railway to the double track on the right hand side. In hindsight, I don't know if this was actually the best decision. I basically decided to leave myself enough space. I start coming down, but then I realize that I actually need to connect up in a different way, because it's not going to work that way, purely because of this very complicated junction that I've got going on at the bottom. This junction at the bottom has obviously iron from stations above. It has oil from stations in the north. It has an offshoot going to the coal depot, where basically we offload coal for the electricity sort of steam engines and things. We have copper coming in from this little copper mining area on the right hand side. We have oil in the southeast. We have a bunch of things, and this is basically the main intersection of the entire map right now. All my trains are going to the right hand side, purely because that's just how I've built the thing. So this particular depot is going to have, for now, it's going to have 2 stations, and I'm deciding to use the same name on every on the 2 stations. And basically all it's going to do is it's going to be sort of robots are going to be here, and they're basically just going to drop off iron ore and copper and take it straight to these smelters on the left hand side. Now I think I've given myself enough space. We have about 22 or 24 smelters in a row there, and there is space to add on to make it a 32 column, a 32 row furnace. And so that should be okay from a space point of view. Obviously the robots will have space to offload. There's enough space for chests and things. So I decided to put down the inserters to actually offload from the trains, and basically putting down the station for this depot. It's a pretty interesting sort of thing, faffing about with trains. I do enjoy it, but it does become a little complicated when it comes to signals and those types of things. So there's certain things that are enjoyable, and there's certain things that are not enjoyable. I put down the chests, and basically these are going to be active provider chests. Now, whether this is the right thing to do, whether using active provider chests is correct or not correct, I'm not entirely sure. One thing I do know is that I do not want these chests to be full or to hold any sort of ore in them. I want all the ore to get offloaded straight from the train as fast as possible using stack inserters. I don't really care whether it's copper or it's iron ore. I just want the stuff off of the train so that the train can get in and out as fast as possible. That's the goal. And I think you'll see that when I set up the train, I set up the train in a way that it's basically going to leave as soon as it's full. So I put down one substation, which is really cool because it basically fills up, gives power to everything there. I put a robo port above and below, and basically this is blueprintable. So even if I decide to add on additional carriages or cargo wagons to the train, it's basically just copy paste. That's the way that I've built it. I now give the name of the depot, and it's going to be called Omni 1, right? Because it's basically anything it can get dropped off here. The robots are going to be collecting and sorting that particular that out. So we call it Omni Station actually. And basically all I have to do here is select that name again, and now we have both of those stations working in that way. I then decide to change the iron, one of the iron trains. So it's going, right now it's going to Iron Depot 1, and I basically changed that from Iron Depot 1, you're going to now drop off to Omni Station, which is really cool because it's right at the bottom of the list. And of course it's going to be inventory, empty cargo inventory. That's what I want, or time past 30 seconds, or actually 15 seconds. So you have 15 seconds to drop off everything. You're going to collect for 30 seconds from Iron Supply Depot 2. You're currently there at the depot just dropping off, but you should be coming around here right now. Please do subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. Really appreciate your support. For whatever reason, I start faffing about with sort of the number of iron, so the amount of iron ore that's in these chests. For whatever reason, I think I need a huge buffer, so I increase that tremendously for whatever reason. And it seems, you know, I've now forgotten to put signals, so I start faffing around with signals on this particular junction over here, and obviously having this section of the train, it starts to complicate things for me because I'm not 100% sure of how to actually put this together. This junction is, or this offshoot is part of this sort of main intersection or main junction that happens, and as soon as this train comes into this depot, it looks like it's working. The robots are here to offload, and I immediately notice that they offload everything, and they take everything to storage. So you can see this huge sort of line of robots that just pitch up from nowhere, and I've got a few thousand robots in my network at this point, and they basically all are, they just launch themselves to get all of this iron ore away from this train, and the train departs pretty quickly. I think it was faster than the 15 seconds that it needed to be, and that worked out quite well. However, we do need to fix the storage issues. I then continue to faff about with the rail signals and try to understand how this rail thing is going to actually function, and it just you'll see I get very confused. So I put that down. I definitely need to put a sort of a waiting point and a stopping point over there just before they get into this, in case there's any trains coming up. And this section looks quite fine. Everything seems to be working okay. So that's all good. And then I decide to just go check out what's going on with the storage. The robots are now all over the show, right? I've been making robots basically since I put the sort of the factories to make the robots up, but I didn't actually realize how many robots I had. I mean, I built the robots basically just as like construction robots, and also just to, wow, what is going on with the power? It seems obviously that that those additional roboports that I put down, and obviously with the spike of the number of sort of robots that are actually flying around, has just caused the factory to consume a whole lot of electricity. And so I definitely need to work on the electricity fairly urgently. Of course, I do have everything that I need to make all the power and all of those things, and I start immediately making those steam engines and start figuring out how to actually get the what are those, the boilers, the electric boilers done. I then noticed that I don't actually have an output for that. Well, I do have an output. It's going into this electric smelting machine that's making electric furnaces, and of course that's full. So, well, I see there was some stuff blocking the line there, which is quite interesting, and that's why the electric furnace machine wasn't working, or the assembly machine for the electric furnaces wasn't working. But I fixed that, and that's all good. I then decided to go ahead and put together an assembly machine to start making boilers and steam engines, and I'm just trying to figure out what they need. So obviously it needs stone because I need to make the steam furnaces, and I'm trying to work out sort of where would the best place be to have that. Obviously it needs pipe and it needs stone furnaces. The pipe is right here, so I then decide to just put down a yellow assembly machine, allocate the item that it needs to make. Here we go. Start with the boilers first, and of course we need a requested chest, and we need a passive provider chest, and we need to start requesting the different things. So on this particular chest, I decided to do stone for whatever reason. Requesting stone, and I'm requesting pipe. I then realized that I don't have any inserters, so I put down a fast inserter, give it some power, and of course they can't, this assembly machine can't actually do anything with stone. It needs steel furnaces. Nonetheless, I quickly realized that, and then of course we need to change the recipe or have another assembly machine basically making stone furnaces. So I decided to put that down or below it, put down the inserter, put down the requested chest, and that's going to request stone. Yes, stone. And as soon as the stone pitches up, we're going to be making those. I decided to take the stone out and just stick it. Yeah, I removed from that requested chest, stick the stone into this requested chest, and immediately we start making the boilers. I limit the chest for the boilers, and now we have sort of 19 boilers. I wait for one more, yeah, or I wait for 10 more, 11, 12. I wait for a ton more, and basically that's going to be it for this episode. In the next episode, I'm going to be upgrading the power system, and then I noticed that there's this huge traffic jam of trains. So I'm going to be fixing that. I need to get all this working. There's obviously train signals and things that are screwed up, and I'm not going to bore you with how I try to fix this. In fact, as of me finishing this recording, I have not actually fixed it. But with that being said, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.